Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Mandelberg, and I wanted to give you some information about cataract surgery. And I think the best place to start is to just give you a model and give you an idea of what happens and how it relates to your eye. So here's a model of an eye. And in our eye, we have a lens. That lens starts out nice and clear. And as we get older, it gets more and more cloudy, which is why vision very, very slowly gets a little darker, a little dimmer, and a little hazier. Not all cataracts do I wait this long to recommend surgery. This would be a significantly advanced cataract, but at least it gives you an idea of what we're talking about. So when we do cataract surgery, basically it's all done through a small incision. There's two different ways it can be done. The manual technique would be to make a small incision to go inside of the lens. The lens has a skin around it, much like a grape has a skin around it. And we call this skin on the cataract the capsule. What we do is we make a little opening in the cornea, front of the eye, and we go into the lens and we make an opening in the skin, and we extend it to have a circular opening, which allows me to put in a special device, a special instrument that breaks up the cataract, and it's called phacoemulsification. Phaco being the lens, and emulsification meaning how we break it up. So it's like a little microscopic jackhammer. When we're done, the cataract has been removed. The skin is actually still left there. So imagine a grape. The grape is gone, but the skin of the grape is still present. I use special devices to clean the skin, a little scraping to clean it, make sure it's perfectly clear. And then we take the artificial lens. The lens is put into a device that we can then inject it into that little opening we made and into the skin around the lens, so that when we're done, we now have an artificial lens inside the skin that held the natural lens. So that is pretty much how it is done manually. By laser, which is the most advanced technique, which we've been doing for over 5 years. Not everybody has a laser, but we have one of the early lasers, and it's been updated to the most advanced at this point. And what the laser does is we attach the laser to the front of the eye, and the laser will automatically make that little opening in the skin that I showed you I did manually. It then breaks up the cataract that I did with that jackhammer technique, and all we have to do is go in there and remove the pieces and put in the new lens, much like we would have done manually. So the rest of it's the same. The only other subject that I wanted to touch base with is astigmatism. Astigmatism is not a term that's always understood, but if this were the front of your eye, equivalent to the cornea in the front here, then this now represents the cornea. And if it's round like this tennis ball, you don't have astigmatism. If I bend it to look more like a football, where this curve is different than that curve, that's astigmatism, and it means it bends the light into two different places, which makes it not very clear. So we have several ways that we can correct astigmatism. One way is with the laser. The laser can make certain incisions in there to round out the cornea. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is with a special designed lens. Just like your glasses have a correction for astigmatism in them, this lens also can be made with an astigmatism correction in them. And then just like we injected the artificial lens into the skin around that was left over from the cataract, we then rotate that to find the exact location that would equalize the astigmatism. And we have a special device called an ORA, O-R-A, that we have a huge big screen on the wall, and as I'm rotating it, I look at the screen, and when I'm right in the correct position, the ORA will tell me that the astigmatism has been corrected, and usually will say NRR for no rotation required. And that's how we basically get rid of astigmatism. Thank you for listening. All right, I'm going to show you now how we do the laser procedure. The patient has the eye we're not doing patched, so it doesn't interfere with her where she looks. We put a device on the left eye with a little bit of suction that then gets attached to the laser, and that's what I'm doing right now. And we're now bringing her under the laser, where we will set her up so that the laser can read her eye. The laser will do a 360-degree full analysis of the entire eye, and as you can see here on the right is the cornea, the front of the eye, and behind that the lens of the eye being moved into position on the laser. And as it gets close on that right hand one, the left will orient it with the laser. And we now see on the top right the actual lens of the eye and the part of the lens that's going to be emulsified by the laser. As soon as a green bar goes around, which it just did, that means the laser is already starting to treat. And you can see both on the right and the left the laser totally emulsifying the lens. At that point, we then bring the patient to the operating room. What you're seeing right now is the ORA, which we use to read the lens to decide what power lens we want to put in. We've already done our calculations in the office. We pretty well know what we want to do, but sometimes after we take out the cataract, there could be subtle changes or differences, and so that's what we're doing now, is analyzing it. The machine is now taking readings, and it tells me the power of the lens was a 19. So now this is the manual way of removing the cataract. Previously I showed how the laser broke up the cataract, and the laser made initial incisions. Here we're doing everything manually, and we're going to be entering the eye and using specific devices to break up the cataract. First, though, we make an opening in the skin, which is what we're doing here now. The skin meaning the cataract has a skin around it, much like a grape does. And what's happening here is this is the manual way of starting to make an opening in that skin. We usually try to make it approximately 5 to 6 millimeters in size, and I'm going around manually removing that skin in a very circular pattern. Now, as good as I am and as many thousands as I've done, the laser does that a little bit more accurately, but certainly it was done quite well. Now we're breaking up the cataract manually. The instrument on the right is called a phacoemulsifier, and what it does is it vibrates approximately 20,000 times a second going into the lens, and as it breaks it up, it then sucks it out. So, and my left hand is just moving the lens around till we have it broken down into pieces, after which we remove the pieces, and then the only thing left after this is done is the skin that was left. There is some peripheral material there that doesn't come out initially, and we have these little suction devices here to remove any residual lens material called the cortex, or the peripheral part of the lens is now being removed. And when we're done, we want just a pristine, clear skin, or capsule as we call it, which you can start to see now, and you can start to see the circular opening that I had made originally to get into the eye. It also is made a certain size that allows the lens to fit in there nicely. This is an instrument to just clean any residual cells that are on the skin so that it remains clear for quite a bit long period of time. When that is done, we put a little gel in the eye that allows us to introduce the lens. We check the pressure in the eye. Now you can see the lens itself is going to be inserted into the eye. It's injected. It goes under that opening that was made in the skin, and it's gently put into position. We then use the AURA machine to read the eye and to confirm if it does have astigmatism, that it's lined up exactly in the correct position. And usually at the end it just says we are completely aligned.